Ever wondered how to make the perfect Mapo tofu at home? This tantalizing dish originated from the Sichuan province of China, renowned for its bold flavors, pungent and spicy taste thanks to the liberal use of garlic, chili peppers, and Sichuan peppercorn. The key ingredients include soft tofu, minced meat, and fermented black beans. But don't worry, we'll guide you through each step, ensuring you create a dish that's bursting with flavor. Ready to spice up your culinary skills? Here's how to make Mapo tofu at home. So, what do you need to make Mapo tofu? First and foremost, you'll need tofu. Silken tofu is preferred for its soft and creamy texture. Next, we have Sichuan peppercorns. These little gems provide a unique numbing sensation that's key to this dish. Then, we need ground pork for a bit of meatiness. You'll also need aromatics like garlic, ginger, and green onions, which we'll be using to build layers of flavor. Doenjang, a spicy bean paste, and duchi, fermented black soybeans, will give our Mapo tofu its distinctive color and rich umami taste. We'll also need a dash of soy sauce for that savory depth and chicken stock to add a touch of sweetness. Cornstarch will act as our thickening agent, giving the sauce the perfect consistency. Lastly, don't forget your cooking oil. Now, with all your ingredients ready, you're set to start cooking. First things first, heat the oil in a wok or large frying pan. This is a critical step, and it's essential to get it right. You want the oil to reach a temperature where it's hot but not smoking. This usually takes about 2 minutes on a medium-high heat. Patience is key here. Too cold and your pork won't cook correctly, too hot and you risk burning it. Once your oil is at the perfect temperature, it's time to add the ground pork. This is where things start to get exciting. As you add the pork to the pan, you should hear a satisfying sizzle. That's the sound of flavor development. Break the pork up with your spatula and let it cook, stirring occasionally. You're looking for a lovely, even brown color throughout, which usually takes about 5 to 7 minutes. As the pork cooks, it releases its own juices, which mingle with the hot oil, creating a rich, flavorful base for your Mapo tofu. Now, it's time for the aromatics. Sichuan peppercorns, garlic, ginger, and green onions will infuse the oil and pork with a depth of flavor that's truly irresistible. Add these ingredients to the pan and stir-fry for a minute, keeping everything moving to ensure it cooks evenly and doesn't burn. The Sichuan peppercorns will give your Mapo tofu its distinctive numbing heat, while the garlic, ginger, and green onions contribute a fantastic blend of flavors. A bit of bite from the garlic, a hint of warmth from the ginger, and a fresh, almost sweet note from the green onions. As you stir-fry, you'll notice the aromas filling your kitchen. That's when you know you're on the right track. The combination of these scents is a clear sign that your base is developing beautifully and is ready for the next steps. With this, your base is ready. Now let's move on to the next step. Now, it's time to add some flavor to your dish. The magic of Mapo tofu comes alive when we introduce our key sauces into the mix. The first sauce we'll be adding is doenjang, also known as spicy bean paste. This Sichuan specialty is made from fermented broad beans and chili peppers, and it's what gives Mapo tofu its distinctive fiery kick. To add the doenjang, take a generous spoonful and stir it into the pan. Make sure to mix it well with the base, allowing the heat to release the flavors of the paste. The aroma of fermented beans and chili should fill your kitchen, a tantalizing preview of the flavors to come. Next, we add duchi, or fermented black beans. These little gems are packed with umami, the savory taste that makes our tongues sing. Sprinkle them into the pan, again stirring well to ensure they're evenly distributed throughout the dish. Now it's time to mellow out the heat with some rich, salty soy sauce. Pour it in and stir well. The soy sauce not only adds depth of flavor, but it also gives the dish its glossy, appetizing sheen. Finally, we pour in the chicken stock. This will give our dish a hearty, comforting backbone, balancing out the spiciness of the doenjang and the umami of the duchi. Stir well and then let your mixture simmer. This step is essential as it allows the flavors to meld together, creating a sauce that's greater than the sum of its parts. Remember, the art of cooking lies in balance. Too much of one ingredient can overpower the others, so be sure to taste your sauce as you go along. Adjust as necessary, adding more soy sauce for saltiness, more doenjang for heat, or more chicken stock for richness. Now that the sauces are in, your Mapo tofu is starting to take shape. But we are not done yet. We're on the brink of creating a dish that's truly remarkable, a symphony of flavors that's sure to delight your palate. So stay tuned for our next step, incorporating the tofu. Scene script. Next up, the star of our dish, the tofu. Let's dive right in, shall we? We're going to add the tofu to the pan. But remember, tofu is delicate, it requires a gentle touch, so we must handle it with care to maintain its structure throughout the cooking process. Now, imagine your tofu as a piece of fine china. You wouldn't want to drop it or handle it roughly, would you? The same principle applies here. Use a soft spatula or a wooden spoon to gently place the tofu into the pan. Once the tofu is in the pan, the next step is to stir it gently. We're not making a stir fry here, so remember, the key word is gentle. We want each piece of tofu to be coated evenly with our delicious sauce. So glide your spatula or spoon around the pan, making sure the sauce wraps itself around every single piece of tofu like a warm, flavorful blanket. Now comes the part where patience truly becomes a virtue. Let the tofu simmer for a few minutes. This is not the time to rush. We want the tofu to absorb the flavors of the sauce and the other ingredients. Imagine the tofu as a sponge, soaking up all the wonderful, spicy, savory goodness from the sauce. While the tofu is simmering, let's talk about why tofu is the star of our Mapo tofu. Apart from its ability to absorb flavors, tofu brings a unique silky texture to the dish. It's smooth and soft, providing a lovely contrast to the spicy sauce. It's this interplay of textures and flavors that really elevates the Mapo tofu, making it a dish that's beloved by many around the world. And there you have it, the tofu is now beautifully incorporated into the dish. We've treated it with the respect it deserves, and in return, it's going to give our Mapo tofu a richness and depth of flavor that's hard to beat. The tofu, the humble star of our dish, is now ready to shine. Scene script. Almost done. Now for the finishing touches. As we move towards the end of our culinary journey, it's time to add that final flair to our Mapo tofu. To start, we're going to create a cornstarch slurry. This is a simple yet crucial step, as it will help thicken our sauce, giving it that luscious, velvety texture that we all crave. All you need to do is mix a spoonful of cornstarch with an equal amount of water. Once it's fully dissolved, we're ready to move on. Now, let's bring our attention back to the pan. Slowly pour the cornstarch slurry into the pan while stirring continuously. This is important, as we want to evenly distribute the slurry across the dish. Be patient and keep stirring until the sauce starts to thicken. As you notice the sauce thickening, you'll see the magic happen. The dish will begin to come together, the tofu coated in a rich, savory sauce that's thick enough to cling but not so heavy as to overpower. This is the heart of Mapo tofu, a harmonious balance of flavors and textures. But we're not done yet. For the final touch, we're going to garnish our dish with additional green onions. This will not only add a pop of color, but also a fresh crunch that contrasts beautifully with the soft, silken tofu and the hearty sauce. Just sprinkle a generous amount of chopped green onions on top, and voila, your Mapo tofu is ready to be served. Now let's take a moment to reflect on the journey we've embarked on today. We began with a simple list of ingredients, each one integral to creating the distinct flavor profile of Mapo tofu. We then prepared the base, a mixture of ground meat and aromatics that laid the foundation for our dish. Next, we added the sauces, their complex flavors melding together to create a rich, spicy, and slightly sweet profile. Finally, we incorporated the tofu, letting it simmer gently in the sauce to absorb all its flavors. And now, here we are, with a pan full of Mapo tofu that's not just a dish, but a testament to the beautiful symphony that is cooking. Each step, each ingredient has played its part, coming together to create something truly special. And there you have it, the perfect Mapo tofu made right in your kitchen. Enjoy!